Good morning, I'm Kristen Folletti and welcome to News Desk on SiliconANGLE TV for Wednesday, April 17th, 2013. The last couple weeks have been a wild ride for users of the new cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin, seeking the peak of a hyper-deflationary cycle at $250 per Bitcoin and valleys as low as $50 per Bitcoin. While price seems to have stabilized for now, there are signs that extreme fluctuations could return. But do these fluctuations really matter? Join us now to help us find out is SiliconANGLE founding editor Mark Risen-Hopkins. Good morning, Mark. Well, many investors have been in a scramble over Bitcoin's shifting value during the last weeks. The Silk Road is an underground Bitcoin marketplace, and its founder, Dread Pirate Roberts, says he isn't swayed by Bitcoin's recent spikes. So, Mark, can you explain Dread Pirate Roberts' position on Bitcoin and how Bitcoin impacts his business?
So he is talking about it's him and a few other pieces, a few other folks that have been quoted in the media, most recently in this Forbes post on Bitcoin and Silk Road. But what Dread Pirate Roberts is essentially saying is that for people that use the currency on a regular basis as a currency, as opposed to as a speculative vehicle or as a commodity investment. The price of a Bitcoin doesn't really matter. Yes, there are disincentives for purchasing or using your currency when you're in a deflationary cycle, or when you see the price rising continually as we do right now and as we did last month, especially. So, but despite these disincentives on using it as a currency. The folks that use Silk Road tend to have extra motivation to use it as a currency, i.e. they're using it to purchase illicit substances, and they're either because of addiction or because of an immediate need. They're not really sensitive to the price, or perhaps because of the margins of reselling it on the street.
Commerce on the site hasn't been seriously hurt by Bitcoin's rise and fall. Do you think minimal impact on his business speaks to Bitcoin's foundation?
I think it speaks to a number of things. The foundation of the currency, especially, it's built for digital and online transactions and online interactions. So the fact that it's not traceable or pseudo anonymity as possible with Bitcoin definitely helps his business. It makes his business possible. Silk Road also relies on a bunch of other technologies not found within Bitcoin itself, including Tor and some specific escrow protocols that they have built specifically for Silk Road that even make it further difficult to trace transactions on the service. So there's a lot of proprietary tech and a lot of built-in tech in Bitcoin that makes his business specifically less impacted than perhaps the traditional e-commerce providers. But there's definitely some lessons in what he's doing that could be applicable to legitimate e-commerce providers.
Is Silk Road a sufficient site to measure Bitcoin's impact as a currency, or do you think Robert's comments are purely opinion?
Well, I mean, it certainly reflects a special case that exists within Bitcoin. But as we pointed out, and I don't have this chart handy, otherwise I didn't think to reference this when I was putting my thoughts together this morning. But if you look at blockchain.info, and you look at the time period during the run up in price and then fall off in price, and look at the number of the volume of transactions excluding popular addresses. That's the chart you're looking for. You can see exactly how many transactions and how much money changed hands within the general populace during the run up and the crash, and it was. Despite the fact that the price collapsed by about $200 over the course of several days, transactions had never been higher. It was the peak time for transactions on the network. More money changed hands, independent of the markets, than ever before. So that says to me a number of things. It says, of course, transactions are going to go up when the price of Bitcoin goes down slightly, but the curves indicated there was more money changing hand, more value transactions being done, and therefore a lot of grassroots use of Bitcoin, which that tells me that what Dread Pirate Roberts is saying, because Silk Road does not account for the majority of Bitcoin transactions by any measure. It's just a very small portion of the economy. So what he is seeing is not atypical. There was a lot of e-commerce going on even during the collapse.
Quartz editorialist Gwyn Guilford made the case that we may be looking at an induction of capital that makes the hyper-deflationary period of early April look positively tame as citizens of China warm up to the benefits of Bitcoin. What were some of the points Guilford made in that editorial?
He had a lot of interesting points. I would suggest anybody that's got the time to go through and read it a little bit at qz.com. But the whole of it is kind of summed up with the fact that a number of things. First of all, we've been talking about on this program the death of the desktop and the decline of the desktop in the Western world. Well, guess where the desktop is not in sharp decline? It would be China. And while Bitcoin is a great mobile cryptocurrency, it doesn't. It's a lot easier to use it from a desktop. Just the state of the way the tools are right now. That'll change over time, but right now that's how it is. And China loves their desktops, so that's a fertile breeding ground. But beyond that, they're already into digital currencies and virtual currencies in a major way. In the mid 2000s, internet company Tencent launched their Q coins, and it became more popular, or nearly as popular in certain regions of China as the actual state currency. Trading volume was several billions of yuan per year, and it was rising by 20% a year. So basically, and there's a number of other interesting points in his post, but it's saying that China is fertile ground for cryptocurrency usage. Not to mention they have political incentive not to want to use the state currency more so than any other part of the world, given the type of government. All it's going to take is a slight shift in economic climate there, and you could see flocks of people moving to Bitcoin just to protect their assets from government seizure or otherwise.
Mark, do you agree with Guilford that we're headed for a period of extreme growth?
I don't necessarily see it as imminent as Guilford does. It's a certain possibility. And it's bound to happen at some point. I mean, it's just a question of when. I don't see that the economic conditions and the political conditions in China are necessarily pointing to this being on the horizon. But definitely the world should beware for when it occurs, because it's any influx of Chinese capital by its citizenry could dwarf what we saw from Cyprus and Spain last month.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for the analysis this morning. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And all of your top tech headlines join you in one place with your SiliconANGLE Daily Roundup. That's next here on News Desk.